When I dropped out of high school, I don't think anybody thought that I would end up being a university educator. But that's where I'm at now. I knew that I had to do it different, so for the past 10 years, I've been bringing together students and community members to tackle real projects. I want to tell you about the hundreds of projects we've built all around the world, but I only have a few minutes, so I'm going to tell you about two. Both of these are in the rural, financially poor barrio of Las Malvinas in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. In Santo Domingo, we bring US and other foreign students together with local students to work with the local community on real projects. Community members like Bebo, the 6-year-old in this photo, who's sitting there sagaciously schooling me on how we need to leave the confines of the schoolroom and get out into the community if we want to tackle some real problems and get some real learning happening. So we did. Went out into the community and held a series of community meetings to discover what the greatest needs were and the greatest resources. And we found in the community that the greatest need was a schoolroom because the ad hoc community had been growing tenfold, but the schoolroom hadn't been able to keep up. And we found in the community a ton of resources: local builders, construction workers, welders, bachata dancers, sancocho makers. And we found a lot of physical resources as well, like sand and sun and rain and plastic bottles. And so we endeavored to build a schoolroom out of plastic bottles. First thing we had to do was collect thousands of plastic bottles, which unfortunately is surprisingly easy to do. There's just so many in the waste stream. So we had all the bottles, and Bebo was there to keep us on track and to make sure we were entertained. And we started doing it. But there was a couple of times where the problems just seemed too great. We couldn't find the resources we needed. There was no electricity. When there was electricity, it was in exposed wires. The plastic bottles wouldn't line up right. But we always found a rich and resilient community of learners and teachers to come together and tackle the problems. A month later, we had finished the schoolroom. And it fits 25 students who would have had to have gone outside the community to get an education before, or worse, gone without an education altogether. This schoolroom is built from plastic bottle walls that are lighter, less expensive, made from more local materials and keep the money more local than the alternative. So in 2013, this year, we came back and we're like, all right, what are we going to do? And we found a community that had continued building and continued growing, and their top new need was a public pharmacy so people could afford life-saving medicines. And we're like, all right, perfect. We know what to do. We'll build with the plastic bottles. It's a style called Ecoladrillo. We'll build with the plastic bottles. We were energized. We knew what to do. We went for it until a community member pointed out that if thieves knew it was built from plastic bottles, they would try to break in for the medication. And I wish I could have said that was the problem with the schoolroom. Like, no, don't build the schoolroom out of plastic bottles. People will try to break in for an education. You know? But that wasn't the case. But it was the case here. So we had to go back and look for new resources. And we found some. We found that the community had rice husks or rice hulls, a waste product from making rice. And Bebo was there, like, yes, let's use these rice husks. And I promise that that's a lollipop in Bebo's mouth. And so we experimented with blocks. We had sawdust, we had rice husks, we had rice husk ash, we had cement, we had sand, and we were really excited about the sawdust because there was a local coffin maker and a lot of sawdust in the community, and they mixed together really well, and they all broke. Like, all the blocks broke. But we found a mixture. With local builders and local block manufacturers, we found a mixture that worked perfectly. It was lighter, less expensive, safer, and less cement than the alternative. And the whole community came together to build this public pharmacy. We had little kids that help us move material. We had older people to tell us what we were doing wrong. And every day there was people out there working. And one of them was this young man, Eddie Yoel. Right before we finished this pharmacy, a big storm came. And I ran into Eddie Yoel's place with him. And I asked him, Eddie, why are you working with us every day? And I thought he was going to say it's because he had a crush on one of the participants. But he told me this: when you were building that plastic bottle schoolroom, I would pass by, and every day I'd see all of you out there working, and I thought to myself, that is ugly. what these crazy gringos think that we're so poor we can only build with trash. And, but then when it was done, I saw that it looked pretty good, and they started offering evening classes. And because of those evening classes, I was able to get my GED. And so this is my way to pay back the community. As I think Babo would tell you, when the community comes together to learn and grow together, we can learn way more than we could have apart and leave in our path a wake of creation. Thank you.